Marcus measured his life in unfinished things. An online course he'd paid for and completed maybe a third of. A guitar leaning in the corner of his bedroom, 3 chords deep since he bought it 2 Christmases ago. A resume he kept meaning to update, sitting in a folder titled Job Stuff Final, which wasn't final at all, just the 4th version of a document that hadn't changed in 8 months. He was 28, working nights at a warehouse distribution center, and he had a specific, recurring thought that visited him almost every shift. I want more than this. I just don't know how to start getting it. The problem, as Marcus understood it, was that more always seemed to require something enormous. A dramatic pivot, quitting his job to go all in on something. 6 months of savings and a business plan. A complete transformation, executed all at once. The way it happened in the videos he watched on his lunch break. Someone quits their job on day 1, and by the end of the video they're standing in front of a house they bought in cash. He didn't have the capital for a leap like that, and every time he tried to plan one, the size of it overwhelmed him into doing nothing at all. So nothing was mostly what he did. He'd go to work, come home, scroll for a couple hours, tell himself tomorrow he'd start something real, and go to sleep. The guitar stayed in the corner. The resume stayed unfinished. The course stayed at 34%. It was an assigned locker that changed things. Locker 114, handed to him on a Tuesday after his usual one flooded during a plumbing repair on the floor above the break room. The maintenance guy tossed him a new combination lock and told him 114 hadn't been used in a while. Previous guy transferred to a different site months back and never came to clear it out fully. Marcus found that out for himself when he opened it and discovered a battered spiral notebook wedged behind a shelf, left there long enough to have curled slightly at the edges from the warehouse's temperature swings. He almost tossed it straight into the lost and found bin. Instead, mostly out of boredom during a slow stretch on a Tuesday night shift, he flipped it open. It was a diary, not exactly. The first page was dated a little over 2 years earlier, and it just said, Day 1, 20 minutes. Watched intro video for basic web design course. Understood maybe half of it. Still counts. The next page, Day 2, 20 minutes. HTML basics. Built nothing useful yet. Marcus kept flipping. Page after page, the same short format, a date, sometimes a number of minutes, a line or two about what got done. Most entries were unremarkable. Some were barely a sentence. A few pages just said things like day 34. Skipped. Too tired. One stretch, roughly 3 weeks long by the dates, was blank entirely, and then picked back up with day 35, real count, not calendar day. Back. Missed almost a month. Starting the 20 minutes again anyway. Doesn't erase what came before it. Somewhere around the 40th page, the entries changed. Day 91. Finished the course. Built my own site tonight. It's ugly, but it works. A few pages later, day 130. First paying client. $200 for a dog groomer's website. Felt like way more than $200. Marcus sat on an overturned pallet in the break room for almost 20 minutes straight, just reading, ignoring the last few minutes of his break ticking away. The notebook had no name in it anywhere, no last page with a neat conclusion, no dramatic final entry explaining how the story ended. It just stopped abruptly around day 240, mid-sentence almost, on a page that read, Day 240, for clients now, might actually be able to, and then nothing. Whoever it was had transferred sites or quit or simply stopped writing. The notebook left behind in a locker like an afterthought, an artifact of a version of someone's life that had apparently moved on to somewhere better, the details of which Marcus would never know. He couldn't stop thinking about it on the drive home. Not the mystery of who it belonged to. That curiosity faded fast, but the plainness of the entries themselves. 20 minutes. Some days skipped. A month-long gap that hadn't ended the whole thing. No dramatic quitting moment, no single lucky break, just a long, boring, mostly unremarkable stack of 20-minute Tuesdays that had eventually turned into for paying clients and a sentence that trailed off into what was presumably a much bigger life. It looked almost exactly like the version of himself he kept meaning to become and never did. Except this stranger had actually done it in the least impressive-looking way possible. Marcus didn't do anything drastic that night. He didn't quit his job or draft a 5-year plan. He just opened his own unfinished online course when he got home instead of going straight to bed and did one module. 19 minutes, according to the little progress bar. It didn't feel like much. That was the strange part. He kept waiting for the moment to feel significant, and it never did. It felt almost embarrassingly small, doing 19 minutes of a beginner web design course at 6 a.m. after a 10-hour shift, copying the exact format he'd read in a stranger's abandoned notebook without even fully deciding to. But the next day, he did it again, 22 minutes this time, and he wrote it down on a torn piece of paper at first because he didn't have anything better, mimicking the notebook's plain, unimpressive style. Day 2, 22 minutes. Still counts. The day after that, he missed it entirely. Fell asleep the second he got home. No course, no notes, nothing. He almost let the miss turn into an ending, the way it always had before, with everything else he'd started and abandoned. Instead, he remembered the blank 3-week stretch in the stranger's notebook and the line that came right after it. Doesn't erase what came before it. He picked it back up the next day. Weeks passed the way weeks do, unevenly. Some days full effort, some days barely 10 minutes. One stretch in the 3rd month where he skipped nearly 2 weeks straight after a rough patch with his landlord and just didn't have the bandwidth for anything extra. He almost quit there. Almost decided the whole thing had been a nice idea borrowed from a stranger's notebook that didn't actually apply to someone with his schedule. He kept the notebook itself on his nightstand by then, not reading it anymore, just keeping it visible. A reminder that whoever this was hadn't looked impressive at day 35 either. Just present mostly in 20-minute pieces, with the gaps included rather than hidden. By month 5, he'd finished the web design course completely, the one that had sat at 34% for over a year before he found Locker 114. He built a simple, slightly clumsy portfolio site for himself, just to prove he could. It took him 3 weeks of 20-minute sessions to get it functional. It wasn't good, but it was his, and it existed, which was more than he could say for most of what he'd started in the previous 5 years. By month 7, he'd built one more, a much better one. This time for an actual small business, a friend of a friend who ran a dog grooming service and needed a basic website and was willing to pay $200 for it. He didn't notice the coincidence until he wrote the entry that night and flipped back, almost by instinct, to the stranger's page about their first client. Same amount, same kind of business. He sat with that longer than made rational sense, half convinced and half amused by how exactly his own beginning had ended up tracing someone else's. By month 10, word had spread through that same small network, and he'd built 4 more sites, each one a little better and a little faster than the last, each one still built almost entirely in small sessions squeezed around warehouse shifts. Marcus didn't quit the warehouse job at any dramatic, cinematic moment. There was no single day where he stormed out or gave a speech. He simply gradually had more paid web design work than he had spare hours to do it in. And one ordinary Thursday, almost 11 months after finding the notebook in Locker 114, he did the math and realized the freelance work, if he gave it his full attention instead of the leftover scraps of a warehouse schedule, could actually cover his bills. He gave 2 weeks' notice. His manager asked what he was moving on to. Web design, Marcus said. Been building it up slowly. About a year now. It sounded almost unremarkable, saying it out loud. Just a year of 20-minute sessions. No grand leap, no six-figure savings account, no dramatic quitting moment captured on camera. Just enough small sessions, stacked one after another, that eventually the pile of work outweighed the job that used to define his whole schedule. Before he left the warehouse for the last time, he cleaned out locker 114. He almost took the original notebook with him. Instead, on his final shift, he tucked it back behind the shelf exactly where he'd found it, and left his own notebook beside it, a matching one he'd bought months earlier for $4. His own 330 entries filling most of its pages. On the inside cover, he wrote one line for whoever opened the locker next. Day one doesn't have to look like much. It just has to happen. Then happen again tomorrow. He never found out who wrote the first one. He likes it that way. If you've had a someday project of your own, something you've been waiting to have the perfect conditions to start, this might be your locker 114. You don't need 6 months of savings or a dramatic leap. You just need 20 honest minutes, most days stacked long enough to matter. If this story hits something in you, let me know in the comments what your 20 minutes would be spent on, and hit subscribe, because next week's story might be the push you actually needed.